Good evening everyone and welcome back to Braindead TV. Today I'm taking a look at Dexter, Original Sin. So I've been seeing this popping up on my TV, on the streaming services, seeing the ads and everything for a little while. And if this was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have been following the development of this show very closely. But unfortunately, Dexter New Blood let me down. And I didn't even realize this was a thing because I just tuned out of paying attention. I was like, no, I've got the original show. I've got those original 4 seasons. And then, but lo and behold, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch the show. I'm going to watch the pilot. I'm going to have my notebook with me, take notes. And, well, this is what we got. And I'm gonna review the episode. I'm gonna talk about what I thought. You may have guessed from that intro there, I am a fan of the original show. I followed the original show throughout its run from season 2. So, well, I when I say followed from season 2, I mean while it was airing, I started watching during season 2 and then followed it all the way to the end of the original Dexter. Obviously went back and watched the original season, which I will admit did lose some of its impact for me because I started with season 2, which my own bad, but it was on TV, and season 2 had a lot of spoilers for season 1. So the first season didn't have the impact on me that it probably should have, but that original show is amazing. But just to give you an idea of the frame of mind that I was in going into this show, my first note says 16 seconds in, that's CG though. Like, I was absolutely ready to tear this apart because I love Dexter and I didn't like the last season of it and I didn't like New Blood that much. So I was ready. I was absolutely ready to tear this apart. Thankfully, spoilers, it sold me. It sold me on the show. So this is going to be a fairly positive review of the first episode, and I will be talking about the reasons why. So let's get on with it. So as I said, 16 seconds in, that's CG though. I will start off on that. There's a car speeding through the snow. And it's like this it like starts off as a top-down shot, like the original GTA camera angle. And you see it speeding through, and that looked a bit iffy, that looked a bit, but it was far away. And then, all of a sudden, it cuts to like the wheel of the car spinning, and it was bad, alright? It was really bad, and it's one of those things where if it had happened later in the show, probably wouldn't have mattered as much. But it was literally your first impression of this show is bad CG. Bad CGI. So, not great start, but then it cuts into the car and you see Dexter laying there. Immediately after the events of Dexter New Blood, he's been shot, he's bleeding out, or it appears that he's bleeding out. You don't know who's driving him, that's left mysterious, but I would assume Harrison, maybe Harrison had some second thoughts and went back or, something like that, I don't know. Or Angel actually, could be Batista, because Batista found out about him. Anyway, besides the point, right? Cuts into the car, and I quickly realise that this show is exploring the original idea for the ending for the show, which I liked straight away because it ties it together. It's just the original ending to the show, like Lumberjack Dexter. The ending they went with for the original show, Lumberjack Dexter and all of that, was disappointing. And then when I heard what Clyde Phillips' original idea was. His original idea for ending the original Dexter TV series was to cut to Dexter. You think he's waking up, on his bed or whatever, but it pans out and he's actually receiving the lethal injection. the show up till that point had been him reliving, like life flashing before his eyes in the lead up to him receiving the lethal injection for his crimes, which I always liked the theory behind that ending more than what we got. So the fact that this flashback series is literally exploring that, I was on board, because like he's on death's door, he's in the back of the car, and and the reason that Michael C. Hall is still narrating is because it's a flashback. So, and given that Dexter doesn't have that, like Dexter's dialogue is, I'd say like 60-40 weighted, or maybe 70-30 weighted in his internal monologue. So you get a lot of Michael C. Hall as Dexter in this show. But putting that aside, the new guy, the young Dexter that they've got, the guy playing young Dexter, I think does a really good job. Does a really good job. He looks like him, pulls off the voice and everything really well. And yeah, so that's good. That's good. Then, I touched on it a little bit here, but Clyde Phillips is showrunner again. Clyde Phillips, who was the showrunner for seasons 1 to 4 of the original show. So what most people consider the golden era of the show, Clyde Phillips is running. So that's good. That's very good. I also brought back the original opening credits. I like that a lot. Like, and one thing that I put here is makes sense. The morning routine wouldn't have changed much, only refined, because he is very routine oriented. So it makes sense that the opening credits are the same and it's still Dexter's morning routine, and that his morning routine is basically the same as young Dex as it is as older Dexter. Slightly more refined, but Dexter is a man of routine, as he's been taught the routine, he's been taught the code by Harry, so it makes sense, like, thematically. So that's cool. Let's have a little here. On my notes here, I'm just like, Christian Slater as Harry? Fuck yeah! Like, so, yeah, that's, there's a note there. This was the moment in the show where you see a lot of the old characters coming back, because it's like the crime scene. You got Harry there. You've also got Masuka and Angel both there. So like you got young Angel and young Masuka. And let me tell you, young Masuka, we didn't see much of Angel in this episode, so he looks good. He looks like him, but we haven't heard enough from him to tell yet whether he does a good Angel. Masuka, however, he's just like, he is Masuka. Like, absolutely no question, he is Masuka. Like, absolutely. So they did a good job with that. They did a good job with casting people to play the younger versions of the original characters and getting their character traits down. You know, like Masuka's laugh and like the fact that he's just once again Masuka is a less refined Masuka. Like, Masuka was never cool, you know, but he was a little more restrained, as it turns out, in his dirtiness. Who would have thought that Masuka from the original show is restrained? Because young Masuka doesn't have his approach down yet, and is just kind of just like, dirty, like, you know, he's just saying dirty shit, you know, and it's like, which older Masuka does too, but like his comedic timing, yeah. Anyway, like I say, they're less refined versions of the characters that we know, which makes sense because they're younger and less experienced. One little thing I did like as well was that they made it a little plot line, was that Dex calls out one of Masuka's mistakes, or a mistake, and like Masuka shrugs it off to start with and is just like, no, you know, and all this, like, and it was like, oh, okay. And I wrote, Dex already calling out mistakes on forensics, like, and this is before he works for them, he's still a med student and stuff, so instantly I like that. Because it's just like, oh, they're showing that he is, we all know from the original show, Dexter's really good at what he does, but it shows you that he didn't get his job at Miami Metro through nepotism. It was like, you know, skill. And then later on, that comes back round, because Masuka, after, like, Masuka sees him, and Sarah Michelle Gellar, by the way, as well, guest starring as a forensic tech, it would seem, or like the head of forensics, I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, they come and speak to Dex, and they're like Masuka's like, good spot, and like he's really impressed. His his attitude towards him has flipped, and he treats him more like we see Masuka treat Dexter in Dexter. And it's like that moment, you know, he saw that this kid has promise, and he thinks he's a rock star, so he treats him as such, you know. And I love that. I thought that was so good, like just that little switch and establishing character and showing that Dexter is reinforcing that Dexter is incredibly skilled, and they're not relying on your knowledge from the original show. Like, someone new starting to watch this show could watch this and already be picking up that Dexter is no joke, like he is, you know. So like, they're doing a very good job of all the establishing in this, I believe. Then I like the style of the show so far. It reminds me more of the original, with like the first season, which I think that is kind of the best compliment you can give, given that the first season of Dexter, or the first few seasons of Dexter, were the best, you know. And then I put good feet and fake out with the spicy mag, because he uses it to hide his obsession. I fell for it, because at first it was just like Dexter was talking, what was it? It was about the deed. It was like, oh, doing the deed. And then suddenly he's got a Playpen magazine, and I'm just like, this doesn't seem very Dexter, you know. And so I actually got faked out by it, and then he opens it, and then I saw the serial killer clippings and all of that, and I was just like, how did I fucking fall for that? Like, I should have got that, you know, like, but no. Dex, oh, and then there's, so Deb and Dex are sitting there eating dinner with Harry, and Harry, Deb wants to go to a college party and thinks Harry will say no, but he says yes if you take your brother. So we get this good scene, well, it starts out as a good scene, where Deb and Dex go to a college party, and Dexter is exactly as awkward as you would think he would be. And it was at this point where I just started thinking, oh no, Dexter is literally me at that age. Hold on to that thought, because I'll come back to that in a minute. But anyway, so Deb goes, she starts drinking. And as soon as she started drinking, I got this thought in my head. I was just like, I don't know whether it was just the scumbagness of the dude that she was talking to or whatever, but it instantly got my back up. You know, instantly got my back up, and I was just like, and started thinking like, oh, there's going to be a point in this show where something happens to Deb, because she is, while she's not the badass Deb that we know yet, and even the badass Deb that we know had bad shit happen to her, but she's not that Deb yet. She's on her way, but she's not there yet. And because of that, I just suddenly got this overwhelming sense of dread, where I was just like, oh shit, something, like, obviously she's not going to die or anything, because that happens, you know, but like overwhelming sense of dread, where I was just like, oh, like something bad's going to happen to her and Dex is going to have to save her. Well, little did I know that was going to happen 2 minutes later. Like, it was just like literally this scene. So yeah, so as soon as Deb started drinking, I was thinking about how it could go wrong. 1 minute later, she has supposedly been roofied. Pause to write this as Dex runs up the stairs. Okay, so at this point, Dex was running up the stairs, and I paused it just in case it was a fake out, you know? Like, just, I wanted to write it down and get it down before. And it wasn't a fake out. Like, her friend, Deb's friend goes to Dex and is like, I've just seen, like, Deb blackout being taken into a room. And Dex is like, what room? Instantly heads up there, you know, door's locked, so he busts it in, dude's standing there, Deb's on the bed, like, passed out, and dude's standing there with his fucking trousers down, you know. So, like, Dex beats the shit out of him, nearly kills him, goes for a knife, but Deb comes down, and because she doesn't know what's happened yet, starts getting on Dex. You know, Dex gets thrown out for beating up the dude. Deb starts getting on Dex, and it's like, and that was when he tells her what happened, and he was like, I came in, and she was like, he took me upstairs because I was tired, and I was drunk, and all this, you know. And then Dex is like, the door was locked, and when I busted in, he had his pants around his ankles. And that was when the moment of realization hits Deb, you know. And at first I was like, damn, they rushed that storyline. But then I thought about it, and I was like, no, they didn't, because it sets up the fact that it's not the Deb that we know yet. She's headstrong, She's headstrong, she is very confident, she knows what she wants and all of that, but she is not the strong, powerful Deb that we know yet. She is still getting there, you know, like, and yeah, she's still trying to live up to Harry. But then this is when I wrote, coming back to that whole why is Dexter me thing, I literally wrote, why is Dexter me? Because Deb's friend goes up to him and goes, I used to think you were really lame for watching WrestleMania, but that was, and I was just like, why? I feel so attacked right now. I feel so attacked. Like, literally the way Dexter acts and everything is how I used to act, because I was a nervous, turns out autistic child and teenager and all of that. And then literally with the rest, it hits him with the WrestleMania, and I was just like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, I feel attacked right now, you know. But anyway, I thought that was funny. Harry had lost a son previously. I wrote this. I wrote, Harry had lost a son previously. Did they ever mention that in Dexter? I was like, you know, maybe that's new to help explain why Harry could never turn in Dex. You know, like they're fleshing out Harry. They're giving him more backstory than we got, because that was something that Harry in the original show, as good as his intentions were, villain. He was a villain. Like, you know, like, he's the one who made Dexter Dexter was messed up. But there were many times throughout the show where it was questioned whether Harry did the right thing, you know? And I think this show is going to try and provide light, right or not, provide light, flesh out why Harry does what he does. And even in this first episode, I think they do a fantastic job of that, because they show the new thing, they show the new, you know, like the new development of losing a son previously, and not just losing a son, but it's his fault because he's getting drunk watching football on TV, and his son goes out and drowns in the pool because he's not paying attention. So not only did Harry lose a son previously, but it was his fault. So more wrinkles added in there. This is the point as well where we start to explore a storyline that happened in the original show. So they flash back to Dexter's first kill in the original show, and this is where that starts playing out in this, which I like. I think that's good. I think that's a good approach to tie in this show, get the original fans on board whilst also introducing new fans. But yes, so Harry has a heart attack as it becomes apparent that Dex nearly killed someone. So Dex is telling Harry about how he wanted to grab that knife and he wanted to kill the guy that was going to rape Deb. And Harry in that moment, heart attack, you know, like, and yeah, so Harry has a heart attack at the thought that, you know, like, that's the start of his health issues and whatnot. And then there's a great scene in the hospital as well. All I will say for the people that have seen it, your French is excellent. Like, that bit got me. That bit got me good. I liked that. And then after, you know, more, I wrote, I like that Deb and Dex feel like brother and sister. I hope they don't try and force the romance back during this show. Like, I have a fit now that I know that it's the original showrunner, Clyde Phillips, running it. I have a feeling they're not going to touch that shit with a 10-foot pole, and I hope they don't. That whole romance storyline between Dex and Deb, man, that was like some fucking warped fan fiction in like the later seasons of that show, and it just felt wrong. I don't give a fuck if in real life Michael C. Hall and Jennifer Carpenter were together. That was a whir anyway. You know, like by the time that those scenes were being, yeah. I really hope they don't revisit that, and because the original showrunner is the showrunner for this, I'm hoping that he will just abandon that and not even try and feed any through lines of that. They're brother and sister, okay? Like, that's just, yeah. Anyway. And then I put, expanding on a kill we already know about is a good idea, playing into that whole seen this before but in flashbacks in the original show, so it was a lot kind of smaller slices. This is a lot more expanded upon. And then I put, again, this is so great so far, feels like the first few seasons. But then the big thing, the trend of Dex disappointing Deb. starts from his first kill. Deb is smashing it. She's at a volleyball tournament that Dex was supposed to be at, and Harry's in hospital, so neither of the people that Deb rely on are at her game, which, once again, more character development for Deb. It shows you why she is how she is. You know, like even in the original show, you know, always fighting for approval and feeling like she has to. And it, once again, the flashbacks and things like that covered that in the original show, but this gives it more room for expansion. So fair enough. Dex is trying to save Harry by making this kill, but it doesn't matter. He's chosen the night that Deb's volleyball tournament is to do it. So the trend of Dex disappointing Deb from his first kill by missing the volleyball. And that's when I put, I take it back, if I were me, he would have stashed the munch for him. Oh, okay, yeah, so there's the scene where, like, all of the fucking officers bring round, like, food, like, to help, because Harry's in hospital, and this is also where Dex finds out that he's got the job offer from Miami Metro, which is what I mentioned earlier, showing that Masuka offered him it based on his skill and not by nepotism, because he didn't even know who he was, and he just, at the start, you know. But yeah, they brought down loads of food, and Deb, earlier in the show, had already gotten mad and thrown away all the processed crappy food they had because Harry had a heart attack. So she starts throwing away all this food that they brought round when she sees what it is. And Dex just takes one bite of a muffin and then throws it away too. And I take it back, if Dex were me, he would have stashed all of the munch for himself. He would have been like, all right, Dad can't have it, but I can, you know, so yeah. Yes, and then moving on to the next bit, it's Dex's graduation, right? And I put here, despite being mad at Dex, Deb was still there for him, staying true to her character. So yet another thing, it's like, how many times have we seen it in the original shows or original episodes where Dex would let Deb down, but she would still be there for him? Because Deb, that's what Deb is. That's who she is. And get another example of this, and obviously it makes sense because it's the first example of it in the shows and everything as well. You know, Dex lets Deb down, they have an argument, or not too great, she chews him out, and he's like, I'm sorry, Deb, you know, because that's, you know, Dexter's like. And then in the next scene, she's still there for him, which, like I say, staying incredibly true to the character. This scene I thought was great, the next scene. So this next scene here, Harry is out of hospital and him and Dexter are talking about the kill, Dex's first kill. And Christian Slater played this so well because he's being strong. He's like, you know, he's being strong, he's putting across the face that he thinks Dexter needs, but at the same time, you can see that he is trying to, he portrays doing that whilst being visibly uncomfortable very well. Like, you could see that he is uncomfortable, but he is still fighting, he still just wants to keep his son alive, you know, and out of jail or whatever. And then as soon as Dexter leaves, the mask slips and he bursts into tears because his son has just taken the step. His son has just broken, like, as he's killed someone now, and he knows, you know. So like, it's just that, I thought that was incredibly effective, incredibly well done. And I think Christian Slater's portrayal of Harry is really good in the first episode, and will continue, hopefully, to be really good. Move on to the next part, which the end of the episode, which is Dexter starting at Miami Metro. He comes in, he's had a haircut now, he looks more like the Dexter we know, with the short hair and everything. And, you know, going, like, the episode ends in familiar territory. Both ends literally, and the final scene ends in, you know, because he's coming up through the elevator that we all know from the first 8 seasons of the show. You know, and he's walking into Miami Metro and then round to the forensics area where he takes his seat for the first time, soaks it in, and the episode ends where we are used to seeing Dexter. You know, like, I thought it was incredibly effective, and I have very high hopes for this show. So this first, like, this show has to live up to the first episode. They're like, the rest of it has to, and I even put, I like that MCH narrates, given that most of Dexter's dialogue comes through his inner monologue. So that was, I've already spoken about that earlier in the video, but that was all my notes. And yeah, all in all, season 1, episode 1 of Dexter Original Sin was really good. Really good. I can't complain. I really, I could complain. I probably could find things. I could harp on that bad CG 16 seconds in more if I wanted to. But the rest of the show made me forget about it. You know, the only reason I still remember now is because I wrote a note about it. Like, I'm sure if I hadn't written that note, I would have forgotten and it would have just come back up. But I'm going forward, really looking forward to seeing what Original Sin has. And last night I found out as well that they've announced Dexter Resurrection. So around 4 months after this show finishes, Original Sin, we're getting a new Dexter show with Michael C. Hall surviving the events of New Blood, which, you know, because they saw how many people shit on New Blood, for one. And it looks like he's moving to New York, if what's read is to be believed. So lots of Dexter content coming, and I'm going to be sitting here critiquing it, or not, like, critiquing it through the eyes of a fan since 2009. Okay, it's 2007. If I started watching in the second season, I started watching this in 2000, like Dexter in 2007. So I've been a fan for a little while. But what do you think of Dexter Original Sin? Have you seen it? Have you watched it yet? I hope so. Otherwise, I've just spoiled a lot for you. Sorry. But yeah, like, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe for more like this, because I'm going to be doing videos like this, breakdowns, reviews, whatever you want to call it, for the whole of this show and possibly the next one as well. So thank you for watching. I have been Braindead, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.